I am honored. No, I'm not honored. I'm pleased to have Renee Roberts with us today, and we'll have a little conversation about what we think about our Accenture culture and what we mean when we say that we are bringing our whole selves to work. So before we jump into any topic and conversation, Renee, I wanna hear a little bit. I'll give you the perspective of what is the regular person Accenture type, all seriousness. You've been over 20 years working now as a consulting experience. The past 15 you've done work on more of the digital marketing programs, obviously mobile strategy, digital production, and well, you're now serving for as a program lead on a number of marketing initiatives for one of our alcohol beverages manufacturers. This is Renee Roberts, the Accenture person, but I'm talking about bringing our whole selves to work. I'd like to break the ice a little bit and ask you, besides knowing Renee, the lead, the Accenture leader that we have, what would you say Renee Roberts is? Who do we think is Renee Roberts? Is it fun? Does he like to travel? Can you give us a nugget of information of yourself that probably we don't know?
Yes. Thank you, Pepe. Mucho gusto. Me encanta trabajar con el equipo de Monterrey. Y yo vivía en Ecuador para 4 meses cuando estaba en la universidad y estudié allí y vivía con una familia que hablan ningún inglés, solamente español. So, eso es un poco divertido y me encanta practicar más español con la equipo en Monterrey también. Y,
There you go.
yeah, we have some fun.
Good job. Well done. What a surprise. And really coming from our perspective and our culture, I really appreciate the people that are trying to do that because that creates a rapport. And it shows me at least that you mean well towards us, that you care for us, that we can understand each other. And that makes it special. Good surprise. I didn't know. You want to continue in Spanish?
No, gracias.
All right, very good. Tell me something that people don't know about you, probably for the thousands and millions of people that are watching us that know you. Tell us something that nobody knows about you.
Yeah, so not many people know that in the US we have a 4th of July holiday. It's called 4th of July. And in many places there's fireworks where you go to a big park and you watch the fireworks. Well, I have actually participated in setting up and lighting off of those fireworks in Milwaukee, little town outside of Milwaukee called Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. So I have a little bit of a fun side to me. I like adventure. I love to be outside and do fun things. My husband is always cautioning me not to be too crazy, remember safety, etc.
Great. No harm done, no harm's way on the fireworks, nothing.
No, no, I
Great.
mean, few little burn marks on my shirt, but we were prepared. We had our hard hats on, and we were prepared for that.
Great. Now, speaking of 4th of July, and that's a holiday that you have particularly in the US, we work as
Mhm.
Accenture in a world of Accenture. And when I mean in a world of Accenture, it's true. There's 120 countries that we work with. There's tons and tons of people that we're working around the world. How do we make it in Accenture that we have one same culture of work and help and environment? Can you chime in on that one? Because you are leading teams that are not only are in different states and different parts of the US, but also in different parts of the world. How do you have those same mentality in mind in your teams?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I'm building my teams, I like to build a culture of collaboration. And I really like to get to know the people on my teams. I think that's a great way beyond the work that we're all expected to do and deliver and the timelines and the, sometimes late nights, etc. There's a person behind the work. And so I really like to build that culture where I know my teams, I know what's happening on my teams, not just the work that they have in front of them, but their personal life, a little bit about them. Are they getting married? Or I know one of the folks on our Monterey team, she has a goose or a duck and she posts pictures on Instagram. And so sometimes we joke about those things. But I think it's really important to know the people and to build that collaboration across the globe. And as you mentioned, Pepe, on the team that we're working with out of Monterey, we also have Accenture people working with that team out of Poland, as well as India and the United States, and some people in Canada as well. So we definitely have a very diverse team across our client, where there is definitely that international flair to the work that we do.
That is amazing. Now, we're not working with robots or computers. In some of the things that we do, we are, but most of the people
Mm-hmm.
is most important is what's the people behind it. Now, what has
Yes.
been one of those challenges that you've seen? Because most of the people talk, oh, it's wonderful, we have done it. Let's talk about the scars that we get from work. What are the things that you think are a challenge having a worldwide team or having a different mentality, different cultures, and how do you approach these challenges?
Yeah. I think one of the most immediate challenges working on global teams is time zone differences and compromise with time zone. And so it has happened that I've been on a call at 2 o'clock in the morning to facilitate a London, UK first day in the business day time need that happened on a project. Those things don't happen often, but we do try to balance the needs of our clients with the different time zone requirements. And so I think that's one of the things that you just have to be very conscious. And I think if everybody is willing to compromise a little bit, it works. So sometimes we would have a little bit earlier morning calls in Monterey than people would be typically used to facilitate either the Indian teams or the teams, in Europe or Poland, etc.
That is good. Now, I know and I've been benefiting from some of the perks that the projects or the programs have. But perks just last so long. I mean, you feeding me or you sending me a gift lasts so long. What's behind that keeps your team motivated? Because it's not only perks. What does the team feel that they can continue pushing forward and doing this above and beyond?
Yeah. I think a couple things. I think one, gratitude, especially from the leadership of Accenture. I think our client team in particular is very good at recognizing hard work and recognizing a job well done and when people go above and beyond. And I think also it's really important for all of our team members to understand how the work that they're doing is contributing to the value that we're delivering to the client. And that's something I always try to reinforce, especially with, sometimes there's meaningless tasks like tracking your time and what you're working on and why you're working on. And so as a leader, I always try to show the team, okay, guys, I understand that this is not the most fun task, but this is why it's important. And this is how our client sees the financials of the program. And this is how they evaluate our success on the program. I think the other thing is sometimes there's, especially in technology and development, right? You'll be doing things that nobody can see, like a consumer can't see or nobody can see, but it's a very important critical component. For example, adding an Adobe tag on a website. That might seem like it's not important, but when our client comes and asks, hey, how many people hit this page that we built? That's actually becomes really, really important. And so I like to always bring and ensure that my team members understand the value of the work that they're doing so that then brings a sense of accomplishment for everybody on the team.
That bigger picture, that what they do fits in the overall puzzle of the entire solution, it's great to see. Now, I want to touch on two words that you mentioned. Well, actually three. I'll add another one on your response is leadership, gratitude. Most of the times in big companies like we are, people are not approachable, and I mean it with
Mhm.
all the sense of you are open and available for all of the people. And people, Renee has been sitting in C suites of a lot of our clients. She's a very big and important people in our company, and she has the time to talk to people. How your leadership style has helped and being approachable with the teams, do you think that has an impact? Do you feel people trust you more because you're open to see them? Do they see those barriers of levels in between? Do you think that's a thing on your leadership style?
Yeah, I think it's something that I take personally. I like to know my people. I especially think it's really important, especially when sometimes you're asking people to do stuff at night or on the weekends. I mean, those things don't happen all the time, but it's really important for me to know my people and to know their limits. And I think it's important as well for our people to be able to create their own boundaries where needed and push back where it's needed. And I think so I work with my team like that, but then I also try to advocate with my leadership as well, right? So if something comes through that's very positive about the team or even something that needs to be addressed, I am alerting the client account leadership and other people that I report into, say, hey, this person did a really good job. And I like to create that culture all the way, even people that are more senior than I am, I like to create that culture. And I think that you will find at Accenture that there are a lot of people who are very, very good at the people side of things. And we try to do what's best for our people, and making decisions on roles and responsibilities and even growing our people and giving people extra responsibilities.
And I've lived that firsthand, and you don't know how happy people are because of an email that they received from you. It's just an email. There's no money, there's no perks, and their engagement is through the roof because they feel their work is valued. So now let me
Mhm.
continue pushing on that boundary, and I have a confession to make to you, and I'm sorry if I'm
Okay.
doing it in this public space, but you are one of the leaders that I truly follow the most. And let me tell you why. You're not only a leader in Accenture based on what you know for the business, what you do for the people, but do you know that you are a role model for a lot of people, and especially women that want to be leaders in the future? Do you have any idea of the impact that you're having and the conversation that I've had with people on how they look up to you? Is that a pressure on you?
Um, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a pressure. I think for me, it's just bringing your authentic self. And I think if everybody is works in a place where they feel comfortable to bring their authentic self, we all do better. Some people might think some of the stuff I do is like overkill or not needed or maybe quirky. So, like for example, um, on the Monterey team, when we have our weekly meetings for status, most of the time, not every week, but most of the time, we do some kind of round robin on let me get to know you. What's your favorite music song? What's your favorite movie? What did you do over the Easter break, for example? So I have built a culture like that because I want people to be able to express their authentic self at work. And so I think as long as you're comfortable in your own skin and expressing yourself and you feel like you're in an environment where you can do that, then everybody just thrives and it works great for everybody.
So, to everyone that is listening to us, take that nugget of advice. Be you. There's no one better to be you than you. Be original, be authentic, be helpful. That's all what I've listened before on your meetings and on this conversation, obviously. And I've loved you for that. So, thank you for sharing. Now, you're mentioning different people bringing to the table different things. What was your
Mhm.
first perspective on working with Mexico or our team? What was your first reaction? Did you say, wow, this is going to be a challenge? Or do they speak English? Are they wearing sombreros? What was your first reaction with that?
It's really as an interesting question, Pepe, because when we, as Accenture, were approached to take on this work, the development work, it's Drupal development work in this case. It was actually being done by a team out of Chicago, an onshore team in Chicago. And my team had a very good working relationship with that team. They were really good. We had a great working relationship. And so, frankly, there was a little bit of hesitancy on my team to say, okay, what's going to happen when we take this work offshore? And it's not, these people, we can't see these people in person all the time because we're in Milwaukee, Chicago, they're relatively close, right? So we could do in person meetings, and sometimes we did that. And so there was some hesitancy with that work. But I have found, and my team will also attest to this, that the work out of Monterrey, Mexico, I mean, the level of skill, technical skill and capability, specifically in Drupal, is above and beyond what the agency was ever bringing. And even the relational dynamic and the remoteness, right? So we don't see each other very often, of the work has not been a hurdle at all. It's actually been quite refreshing to work with the Monterrey, Mexico team. But definitely at first there was some hesitancy on the part of my team, and the client was relatively open. They trusted us. And they basically said to us, look, we're going to do this transition. We just don't want any balls to be dropped. And frankly, the Monterey team stepped up and we did not drop any balls. And so it was really, really good. And it's been a great relationship ever since.
I really appreciate your kind words. And I think for all of us, it's a learning experience that it's just a matter of trust. And don't take it personally if at the beginning there's a lot of questions on how we're starting this relationship, because it's a matter of trust. We have to accept we've never worked together. It's like whenever you're going out on a first date, you don't know what's going to happen. You hope that the guy or the girl is nice enough to open the door or have an interesting conversation. We are hesitant even in those first dates. Hopefully we show up that we are these type of people that you're expecting to be. So I'm just proud of what we have accomplished together as a partnership and what we have brought to the table to the client. Now you mentioned some of the characteristics and what you're looking for, specifically the team that we have in Monterey. But if you were to ask someone that is coming out of school and you say, well, these are the five or three traits or skill sets that I look for someone, what would those be, so we can take that information and say, okay, let me prepare either on this technical path, or these are the characteristics or soft skills that I should prepare on?
Yeah. That's a great question, Pepe, because I find you can teach a lot of technology skills and actual hard technology skills. However, it's the soft skills I think that make the difference a lot of times with our people. And the first thing I would say is open to feedback and willingness to learn. I think those two things go very close together because all of us need to learn and grow and develop. And so it's really important coming in and even at my level to be open to feedback and open to improving and learning new skills and new things. And so that's one of the key things that I look at when I'm bringing on resources to a team is how willing are they to learn? How are they going to take the feedback? Are they willing to grow and develop? That is really important. I think the other thing is communication, right? Again, if everybody's reasonable, it always just works out. But if I don't understand or I don't know you're having a problem with something or you don't raise your hand to help, I can't help you. And so I'd much rather know, hey, even if it's Friday, if it's Monday and you think you're going to have a problem making Friday, tell me on Monday, right? Don't wait till Thursday to tell me, but let's keep that open communication and that proactivity alive and well, because then we can always help. And I find Accenture is an environment where if you have a problem, if you raise your hand, you will get help. And so I would really encourage people to be brave enough to raise your hand so that you can be helped and supported and continue to grow and learn.
And I would like to add into it, you mentioned communication. You did not mention language. You did not mention English skills. And people, this is very important. We're not talking about you how to conjugate a verb or if you know more than 1,000 words that you can use. It's how you communicate. If you're getting your idea across, even if you're using the same three words over and over again, you might say, hey, problem, help. That's it. Just raise your
Mm-hmm.
concern, and that's something that we can work. So I appreciate the tips that you give us, because this is very important for us to see how we can approach the next challenge on bringing talent that we're looking every day to come up across. And as we mentioned in Accenture, we are our people. We are the best people, and we're looking for the best talent to be coming into the company. Now, one of the other questions that I wanted to ask you regarding talent and how you deal with them, um, once we are in a project and we're starting the ramp up and bringing the teams, what has been the most interesting part of having large teams in Mexico? For example, do you have leaders in those teams that you are easy to trust in them, or are you on top of them and you're overseeing over their shoulder what they're doing? How's the style of working on those large teams that you have now segregated across?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, so my team in Mexico, I have a couple of leaders who lead the team. And so, for example, I would have a daily stand up meeting with the leaders of the team, and those leaders are having a daily stand up, most likely in Espanol, con otro other members of the team. My Spanish no es muy bueno, but so we kind of work like that, right? So I rely on my leaders in Monterey to really bring that overall status. But I do create opportunities to understand what's happening with all the team members in those weekly meetings as well. And I think it's really important to build trust with those leaders, right? I always tell them I have the 10,000-foot view and they have the 100-foot view. And so when we're talking about different situations and circumstances, I rely on them to be able to communicate and tell me exactly what's happening at the 100-foot view. Because I can have one perception from my view, but I rely on that partnership and that collaboration for them to give me that closer view of what's actually happening with the team and the work.
Once again, another keyword that brings up trust. It's a matter of trust. And thank you for trusting us. Now we're approaching almost the end of our conversation. So I'm looking forward to ask you three questions. And the first question on these is, it's more of a, I know it's a yes or no question, but I want to have your input. Do you believe, or do you think that having this diverse culture help thriving innovation and help on our client satisfaction? And I know it's a yes or no question, but elaborate. Do you think that adds into what we're proposing to our clients? Do we have innovation based of having these different cultures working around?
I say yes, definitely. And I think, frankly, our client appreciates that, right? My client knows that the team is out of Monterey, and he'll make jokes, and he appreciates the learning that he gets out of having a team based out of Monterey.
Great. That's awesome. And I do believe, and I'm of that belief of having people that think differently, that are seeing things differently, and most important these days, are feeling things different, because we don't have the same struggle, we don't have the same ideas, we don't go through the issues that they're going through. And this just makes it a very good mix of people and teams and talent to bring into the table. Now, my second question before we close out: how would you define the Accenture culture?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the Accenture culture is very driven, but very personal. So most of the time, the people you meet at Accenture are high achievers, right? We all want to do what's right. We work hard, but we also play hard and we have fun doing it.
Great. I love it. And last question, but not the least question on this. Have you visited Monterrey, and what is your favorite dish?
Yes, I have visited Monterey, and it was very cold when I was there, colder than I was expecting. And I'm from Wisconsin in the States. So my favorite dish overall has to be pizza. I love pizza. It's not a Mexican dish, but that's my favorite
Do you
dish.
put pizza in? I mean, do you put pineapple on pizza?
Yes, I think you should put
Oh
pineapple on
my.
pizza, and I like that. Mhm.
There's a
I know
larger
some people do not.
conversation.
Totally.
It's a larger conversation. We will not have that, but it's a tease for the next conversation that probably we can have together. Renee, it has been a
Yes.
pleasure for me to talk to you. It's awesome to see that you are approachable, that you're helping us, and you're showing the side of the business of what we have. I just cannot thank you so much for what you have done for our teams, for the trust that you have. And hopefully, everyone in here can see how wonderful you are and how we can probably continue this relationship for years and years.
Yeah. Mucho gusto, Pepe.
Muchísimas
Hasta
gracias. And
luego.
everyone, thank you.
De
See you
nada.
next time.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.